Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and we are moving and shaking. We're here with the movers and shakers today, everybody. Sara Schmidt, Farrell Elliot, and Michael Hughes. How are y'all doing today?
Couldn't be better. Hey, Ben.
Wonderful, Ben. Happy to be here.
Great day.
Yes, this is great. And y'all are all over the place right now. Where in the world are you? And by the way, before we get started, get in the comments. I want to hear from you. Get in there. I want to know where in the world you are. If you're watching this somewhere, hit that like button. Get in here with questions about the movers and shakers groups, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. Where in the world are you, Sara?
I am in Seattle, Washington. It's a sunny day, and you know what? It actually never rains here.
Oh, is that true? Is that true? It's funny because I'm in Texas and it looks like Seattle outside.
I'm sorry for you.
You're kidding me. We've had 2 months of drought. It's finally good to hear that.
Climate change is real, y'all. I mean, Texas looks like Seattle. Seattle looks like Texas. What's up? Farrell, where in the world are you today?
I am just outside of Sacramento, California, and as you would guess, it's 85 and hot and typical but gorgeous.
Typical but gorgeous, like me. Anyway, Michael Hughes, where in the world are you right now? You're probably in the most interesting situation right now.
I'm currently at an airport lounge in Fort Myers, on my way back to home, which is Houston, Texas.
H-Town, all right.
Yeah.
And Fort Myers, what brought you to Fort Myers, Michael?
Oh, we had the Southeast Regional Relocation Group meet up yesterday.
How was it?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Very good.
I heard you got some a new hat, maybe?
Oh yeah. We got
Look at this.
I put it away here, but yeah, we got Captain Hat.
Captain Hughes in the house.
It's a nautical theme, which was very fun.
That's awesome. Get in the comments here. Hit that like button right now. If you've got questions about the movers and the shakers here, what's going on? How do you become a member? We're going to talk about that. What do y'all even do? How does it work? What is it? You know, it's probably one of the biggest jokes made in our industry, right? It's like, oh, you're a mover and shaker. But now we actually have a group, right? So this is great. David Nathan checking in. Hi from Philadelphia. What's up, David? Good to see you there. Adam Sotelo, super producer Adam in the house here in Glomo HQ. Having fun with everyone on the show. Always fun having a full house. That's right. If you were on Full House.
Vinny, welcome.
Vinny from Portland.
Portlandia.
Yeah. And y'all are
right now.
Y'all are big on the West Coast, right?
West and East Coast too.
Y'all have a big West Coast presence. I remember the first time I met y'all was in the West Coast. I mean, not met y'all, but the first time I was at a Movers and Shakers event. Can you tell us about that first event?
Who wants to take that one?
Go ahead, Farrell.
That was our first sort of our launch event. It was down in the Silicon Valley, if I recall correctly. And for our first event, it was fabulous. I think we had almost 20 people there, some stragglers, some good conversations, some cocktails, some appetizers, some goodie bags. And it was a great launch to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I'm proud to say I was at the inaugural, if that's the right word.
That's the word I was looking for.
The first one was moving and shaking, a little bit tipsy. That's probably why I was moving and shaking. So
that's the shakers part.
I was tipping. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I know Brian Rivers came through for that one as well. We got people checking in here. Get in the comments. I want to know your questions. William Joyce is checking in and says, ha ha. Also in the Fort Myers Airport boarding center.
Hey, Will. I saw you yesterday.
That's great. You guys should get together. Will, where are you going? You going back to Indianapolis? Where are you going to? Really kind of curious now. It's interesting. Yeah, RSW. I make the once a year trip to RSW to go to Captiva. This is cool. David Nathan in the house checking in. Roberta Manocchio here checking in from your friends at NetMove Brazil.
Great to see you.
So I got to ask you, you got this really cool group going on, and we're going to kind of get into all that you do and all that you're going to do. But take us back to the beginning. Why did y'all start this fantastic group, Movers and Shakers?
I want to let one of the two of these other guys take it, but I have to say it was at BAM 2021 but you guys tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be glad to chime in then, Michael, but it was part of conversations that happened spontaneously. There seemed to be an interest shared among business development professionals in the mobility supplier industry to have a place or a forum, a space where we could gather, collaborate, encourage each other, share best practices, level up our own business development work. And there wasn't at that point a place to do that. We wanted to be together to learn from each other, to share very candidly about our world of work. And kind of at the same time, and frankly, all over the globe, there seemed to be this recognition that this was something that we needed and wanted. So.
And I remember the conversation, Sarah, you and I had when we were on the West Coast. I think it was at a BAM event. And the conversation came up as who's looking after the BDs. I think it was right off the back of a presentation on the wellness, employee wellness, and looking after the mental health of your relocating population. And we both looked at each other and smiled, and we talked about that later. It's like, well, who's looking after the BD folks? Because they're the ones out there hitting the road, getting rejection, working with people who don't want to work with you, and then trying to prove your value and prove your worth. And then, so it's a lot of stress. It's a difficult role to be in. Especially those of us who have families. When you're out there on the road, you miss your families. It's hard traveling back and forth. So it's nice to have a community of folks that you can come together with. You can share the burden and really just relax and learn from each other and kind of get that mental boost, if you will.
I like what you're saying there too, Michael, because as a career BD, business development person in this space since, I don't know, 2011-ish, 2010 maybe. Yes, it's hard out here, and we talk about our corporate friends. We talk about the transferees and the signees, and we're, working our tail off out here, running all over God's green earth. I know it looks sexy, right? But it's not all captain's hats. It's not all heavy past hors d'oeuvres and free cocktails. It's a lot of rejection that goes into it. It's a lot of like figuring out, hey, am I even good at this? I mean, what am I even doing out here? Am I in the right place? Am I, is this really what's meant for me? Or am I just banging my head against the wrong brick wall all the time?
Yeah, it's the whole value add. It's not just about services. It's not just about product lines, but when you're encouraging people to look beyond those, I guess, those kind of routine-esque elements of what we provide in relocation, to look at the problem specifically you're trying to solve and do that creatively, that's tough. That's not easy to do. And to have those conversations, to have those engagements and learn from other folks too. I think the other thing that's really important as well is that you get to learn about corporate culture from the customers that you're working with. You understand their values, what they care about. And like, for example, like Sarah, Farrell, and myself are all in different industry verticals. And when you're collaborating with people across different industry verticals, you get to see a bigger picture of the relocation story, which really helps you to say, well, how can I develop what I do a little bit better? What can I do to make things easier, being a better part of this player in this picture?
And to piggyback on what Michael just said too, we are all in different verticals, but it's nice to have other people that are in the same industry kind of reinforce what you're experiencing out in the marketplace. So if I'm having a conversation with Michael or with Sarah and I go, God, business is down over here or whatever, and to have somebody else reinforce that kind of helps me, from a confidence standpoint, to know that, all right, the stuff I'm hearing out there, it's valid. Everybody else is experiencing the same things. So it's been a great effort.
I love what you're bringing up, because right now this year has probably been one of the wackiest years since 2 years ago. And it's like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Is your market down? How off are you right now? Are you 10% down? Are you 30% down? Are you up? If you're up, what are you doing? I love what you're saying there. And it reminds me of a conversation we had actually at the LOVE+RELO 500 event too, where it's like, sometimes we deal with people and personalities out there in the marketplace, and we're like, am I crazy, or are you seeing this too? And you're like, no, that happened to me too. And you're like, okay, got it. Sounds good. I feel seen. right
But
now.
Ben, unless you have a forum to discuss this, and unless you have developed relationship with your peers, those kind of conversations aren't going to happen. So just having a platform to do that, I think, is super important.
Yeah, and
The other element to
of-
that too that I'd add to Sarah's comment is that it's the confidentiality element. And sorry for the loudspeaker behind me, but it's really a safe place for suppliers to come together and to let their hair down, so to speak, and communicate frankly. And yeah, it's us. Check your nails. Yeah, so that's an important part of it. It's the confidence and confidentiality aspect of it as well.
I love it. I love it. And we got people checking in here. Let's keep this conversation going. If you've got questions, or if you want to join the Movers and Shakers group, or if you want to hear about their next event, if you got questions, put them in the comments here. Stephen Meyer checking in from Lorton, Virginia. Stephen, you out on the road? You delivering household goods shipments? If so, stay safe out there. Stephen, we appreciate your service. William Joy says, yeah, I'm going to Indy to hang with my son for the weekend, then back to Dallas on Monday. There's another one right on the road. Road warrior out there, William. Will, it's good to see you. Will, you got to connect with Adrian when you're out here in Dallas. Love to connect. That'd be cool. Annie Ream, hello from the Glomo team. What's up, Annie? Annie's the newest addition to the Glomo team. Super stoked to have her on board. Jana Chezanowski coming to us live from Brazil. Good to see Jana there. We got 2 Brazilians on.
I was going to
Ciao,
say,
Donna.
Brazil is represented today.
Yeah.
They're kind of a big deal, you know. Rachel Guerin here checking in, excited to listen. Thank you, Rachel. Put your questions in there. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about when is the next event going to happen? When can people connect? People are getting excited about Movers and Shakers.
We're going to Boston, baby.
Beantown, what's popping in Boston?
We've scheduled a great meetup, which is going to be the 19th, Thursday, at the Marriott. So stay tuned. More information. Michael has a flyer that's been posted. So I'll let my colleagues fill in the details.
Oh, sure, because no pressure there. We've had a lot of, because Michael can't even talk right now because his boarding call is coming. We're going to do something very similar. Oh boy, now I got to go on mute. Hold on.
Yeah,
guys, I know this event caught you guys by surprise today, okay? But if you could just get it together.
I'll repost for everyone. We're going to meet up Thursday at the ERC out in Boston. We're going to have a little get together, as Sarah said, at the Marriott Hotel. We also have a group page on LinkedIn for the Movers and Shakers USA. We also have a chapter in the UK, and that's something we can talk about too, is we're looking at opening a chapter in APAC pretty soon too. So check out for that group page on LinkedIn. It's Mobility Movers and Shakers USA, and you'll see the posts for the event details, times. Everybody who is a supplier in the industry, doesn't matter what vertical you are, your household goods, your corporate housing, your V&I, whatever it is, you are welcome to join.
And one of the things that's really cool too is we're not limiting it to one person per vertical. So, I might be sitting there with a direct competitor of mine, and that's fine, as will, maybe Sarah or Michael. And it really is just this collaboration of people where we want to talk about what your successes are. How are you gaining successes? What are your experiences? It's not about competition. And it just is really a very, as Sarah mentioned earlier, just kind of an open space for everybody to collaborate and to discuss things and to talk about the industry and compare and contrast what we are experiencing. And I apologize for my crazy television that just turned on. I blame smart televisions. They're not that smart.
Just don't say Alexa.
I did, and you're going to turn my Alexa on right now, Michael.
That's funny. So is this also kind of like a leads group? I mean, do y'all network like that and share leads like you see some of these professional leads group?
That's a good question, Ben. We do collab. There's a lot of opportunities, obviously, in the industry that cross over various different verticals. There's several corporations that have gone out and done RFPs for strictly household goods, and they go to do an RFP for immigration, etc. So there's definitely a retainment of, lack of a better word, IP or understanding of what are the interests and what are the important aspects to that. I mean, at the same time, too, we do hold confidential any information that's given to us. So there's a respect for the information that you do hold and you do have access to. So it's not just a free reign of just telling everything that you know. So I think there's a balance there, but to your point, it's an environment where we can help each other out, that we can share best practices, we can share what works, what doesn't work. Again, about the corporate cultures, understanding what are their concerns, what's important for them, what brings value, and actually what translates into a better experience for the employees as well. So yeah, there's definitely a sharing in that regard.
You know, it's really interesting because I've been a part of like BNI or other types of lead groups in my community. And you show up and you're like, hey, I'm Ben, I'm the mover. And somebody's like, hey, I'm the realtor, and hey, I'm the whatever. But I've never really seen a leads group per se. I'm not saying this is, but I think it's interesting because I've not seen one. I've never really seen a leads group per se in the relocation space. And this kind of sort of has an aspect of that to me.
I think you have to be a little bit careful though, and we're very respectful of that. You know, if I'm having a conversation with Sarah, say, who is in a completely separate, you know, vertical than myself, or with Michael, that's different. Like they said, it, like we've all kind of echoed, it's confidential, but it's collaborative.
Yeah, I think to piggyback on what Michael was saying, we had Mary Corrales on to give us some supporting and information about how to nurture that relationship with relocation management companies. But anyhow, one of her key points and best takeaways is most of your leads are going to come from relationships. So, you know, the primary source for lead generation is going to be those connections that you have. So Movers and Shakers is a great opportunity to build on that base, which will yield leads, you know, as we get to know each other.
The term I remember she used that we all loved, but I absolutely loved as well, was power partners.
That was
And
right.
she said, choose your power partners carefully because they're the ones that are going to be able to nurture and to support you in your growth. And it's so true. It's really true.
Can you power partner? You said choose them carefully. What prevents you from power partnering with everyone?
Oh, that's a loaded question, Ben.
That's what I do here, Farrell.
I know. I'm not quite sure how to respond to that.
It's opportunity, Ben. There's a million different opportunities. You know, I can share one, for example. A client was looking at, and we've got a lot of folks from Latin America, was looking at bond management for household goods specifically. So an opportunity in that space is actually helping to develop a system that can manage that collectively, whether it's across Brazil, whether it's across Argentina, Chile, wherever it is. So each opportunity or each need is so diverse within the industry that I don't think it's a matter of looking at it as like, do you have to be selective with your power partners, and you can only work with these individuals. And to Farrell's point before as well, we don't exclude anybody, or in the sense of say, we already have a household goods provider, so we're not asking anybody else from household goods. We never do that because there's always opportunities for people to collab on. And the truth of the industry is, number one, and you experience, it's family owned. A lot of it is owned by families. And second to that, it's all relationships. So you'll find across the board, and if you dig deep enough and you know a lot, you know, the information, the background details, a lot of the companies that are on paper, quote unquote competitors, they have a lot of mixed relationships behind the scenes where they collab with each other. You know, some share markets where they're strong in, where they're not strong in. And I think that sometimes that's maybe the hush element in the industry. But the truth of it is that we exist in these networks and these relationships. And the only way that you're actually going to succeed if you bring value to those relationships. So trying to cut it off and make it an exclusive group and say it's only us, I just think that leads to egotism.
And I've always said too, with regards to my industry, is that if the model that Porchlight uses works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's what the free market's all about, you know? And so that's one of the reasons why I like to glean information from my competitors, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and here's what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And, you know, it's a really, it's interesting. It's an interesting mixing pot of companies and information.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. And I like what you're saying there too. You know, Michael, about, you know, not capping it and not keeping it like one per vertical, because I mean, at the end of the day, that will stifle growth and the expansion of it. And I don't think that's what y'all are about. You know, this is an inclusive group. I mean, y'all just let me crash the first one, you know, and bring a friend, and and maybe have too many drinks, and it wasn't a big deal. So, I love you guys for that. That's super awesome. And I think that's why this group is growing. What I also think is cool about this, because it also kind of feels like a regional that doesn't have a region. It's like a national regional. It's like a little, like kind of a subset of like cool kind of a group, and has that regional, like familial close knitness, but it's not tied to a certain market, which I think is kind of neat too.
And I think I speak for all of us that we are trying to grow it as well. We aren't regional. We're not tied to one location at all. It's just a matter of where organically we can go and where it makes sense for us to be and exist, kind of piggybacking on those regional events. So yeah, no, it's not specific to any one location at all.
I guess we're trying to blend, when there is a regional, could we add a Movers and Shakers live experience where there's a face-to-face meetup, and then augment that with, virtual conversations and trainings and opportunities.
Yeah, I want to talk about trainings and opportunities like that too. And I want to give some shout outs to people checking in here. Kathy's checking in. Hello, everyone. What a great idea.
Kathy.
She might be a smidge biased, but that's okay. Danny's saying, hey, everyone watching here from New Jersey. I'm enjoying learning more from the Movers and Shakers. That's cool. You got any events in Jersey and the New York area and in that area?
Well, Boston's right next to New York, isn't it?
Yeah, Danny, get your butt to Boston, huh? What a slacker. Come on. Let's see here. Charles Beatty says we'll get it added. Yes, I told Charles. So Charles is doing us a favor. He reached out, and he is actually going to own the list this year, the list of parties and events. So last year we put together a list, and I'm realizing we can't do everything.
Oh,
so
yay.
we're relying on our great partners out there and great people. So Charles is going to be keeper of the list of parties this year. So,
well, we want to be on the list. We definitely
want already on it.
And we want the list.
Yes.
Well, that's going to cost you. Just kidding. It's free. It's free. Yeah, no, you're on the list. And also for everyone out there, if you have a party, an event, a reception, whatever you want to call it, send it to Charles. He'll add it to the list. It's going to be open source. Everyone's going to have the list, because I do think it's important to create kind of an inclusive industry. I remember when I first joined, relocation, I was enamored with it, but I was decidedly on the outside of a clique of people that really knew each other and loved each other. And now I get to be on the inside of this group of people who know each other and love each other. But I want to make sure everyone feels that way when they show up to the event. So I love that y'all are also an open group here. Shauna's saying the list is on. Yes, Shauna. And if there's a link to the list, go ahead and put it out there. If it's ready for prime time. Yep. Danny's heading to Boston. That was easy. Okay, cool. And Adrian's connecting with Will. Awesome. You mentioned educational events. And while those are a distant second to cocktails, we understand that. You mentioned some really cool education. You mentioned, I think, Mary. How important is the educational component, and what are some of the things that y'all have done or maybe want to do?
Who's taking it? I'll say one thing from my perspective, and we've discussed this a little bit. We are a business development organization. That's our audience. That's who we're attracting and who we want to have attend our events. However, with that said, at some point as we move forward, Mary Corrales is a great example. She is currently with a supplier with Synergy, but she has a very, very expansive background working for RMCs. And at some point, we would love to have maybe somebody from an RMC kind of giving their perspective and talking to us about what is important in their world. What can we do to streamline our approach to them so that we're not, in their face all the time and being obnoxious. We really want to give them the best information, the most relevant information that's geared toward them. So at some point, they may not be members of Movers and Shakers, but we would like to have their input and their expertise, displayed. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but we have talked about that a little bit in the past as well.
So Ben, generally we also follow a skill set practice where we're looking at what are the skills that BD reps need to have, or business development managers need to have, and what do they need to practice, and who are the experts in the industry that can share their experiences and their journeys on that. So we've covered a lot of different things. I think one of the last events we did was how to stay in touch without being a pain in the, you know what? So it's just learning those tactics of where do you provide value? How do you provide value to an individual or to an organization? And what kind of skills do you need to build that up? So actually, Sarah's done an amazing job in putting together a list of skills and topics that we want to cover. So we've got basically a year-long agenda that we're going to be cranking through to cover these.
That sounds really exciting here. Let me ask, is this group for service providers, suppliers? I mean, primarily that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Is it not so much for the RMCs? Is it not so much for the corporate folks? I mean, kind of tell me, you know, who the real core audience is for this group.
Yeah, Sarah, go.
Yeah, I think that's it, Ben. It's, you know, for suppliers, any vertical in the mobility industry, specifically folks who are engaged in business development.
I think that there was, as Michael mentioned in the very beginning of our meeting, there really wasn't a space for biz dev people within the mobility space to have a forum, to have a place to communicate, other than the regionals where it was just a handshake and, you know, a lot of fun and cocktails, as you said. So the need for that emerged very quickly throughout our conversations about, well, we need a forum, you know, we need a place where we can collaborate and we can discuss best practices and we can elevate our work life and our best practices. And so that's really where it came from. So it is for biz dev people. I was just mentioning that at some point we like to get the RMC perspective.
So like they can come and speak, but like, are they, because I got Drew Phillips over here, and I'm not nominating Drew Phillips. He's a dear friend of mine, but he has, someone say RMC. You mean I can be included? You know, and listen, answer carefully.
Special case.
We love the Druber out on the West Coast, and I will be calling you for a ride when we get to BAM. Just kidding, maybe. No, but I mean, I like the idea personally. I mean, this really has nothing to do with what I care about, but I'm just going to throw this out there because, hey, it's my show. I get to do that. I like the idea of having a supplier level BD group, right? Because the RMCs kind of own ERC, it feels like, and the corporates kind of just get to do whatever they want. Everybody loves the corporates. But like, you know, to your point, I mean, nobody really loves us. I kind of like having a space for us.
We love us. We love
Amen
us.
to that. Yeah. And that's what it is.
Love you, Drew.
For us.
Drew can speak, but he can't like come all the time. That's my rule. I'm just kidding. I don't set the rules. It's not my group. I love you, Drew. That's cool. So if people want to get involved and they want to join, what does joining look like? Is it like a gang initiation? What is it like?
Well,
tattoos, usually.
We have a barcode tattoo that we
right on the neck, right?
Scan it when
It's in the metal.
No, seriously though, how do you join? Like who's a member? Like I've been to some stuff. I don't know if I'm a member, but I've been to some stuff, you know. So like, how does one join Movers and Shakers, become an official member?
The easiest way to do it is to join our LinkedIn group, the Movers and Shakers USA. You can send a request to that group to join, and once you're in, you'll get all the notifications for events that we're having, whether they're virtual or in person. So I'd encourage everybody to go to that group page on LinkedIn, Movers and Shakers USA. And if you need the link or if you need contacts, just reach out and we'll get that to you.
So once you join the group, then you like the LinkedIn group, then you're pretty much in. So am I correct? Are there any dues?
No.
Not at this point.
There's no dues, no.
Such a deal. I always like to tell people, you get what you pay for, money back guarantee.
Well, we
okay,
provide
cool.
a little bit more value than that. But no, we're not at the point right now where we are collecting dues. It's a sponsorship deal at this point. Sometime down the line, we're looking for somebody who will provide maybe a venue for us at one of these locations, you know, maybe a corporate housing company that has a space that we may be able to host an event. That would be fabulous, but we're getting there.
So then really you mentioned sponsors. So what kind of sponsors are you looking for?
I meant us, the three of us at this point. Sorry.
Oh, So I mean,
Wrong,
but
wrong word.
like say Glomo wanted to be a sponsor.
Yes,
So
it's gonna. Yes, you can
I
absolutely
could
be a
cut you a
sponsor.
check and we could do something. Okay. So like, what would I sponsor? Like a venue or like food,
Correct.
drinks, like
Sure.
that kind of stuff.
Like, we'll put you down for the party on the 19th, Ben.
That's right. We'll
Yeah.
send you an invoice.
Sheesh. Okay, sounds great.
But
No
really,
no
Ben,
reply at glomo.com. No, I'd be very interested in something like that. I really like the idea of this.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we are a grassroots industry working group. So kind of by suppliers for suppliers, and where this may lead, we don't know. We have big plans, but at this point, it's important to know that we've created it out of the need that we felt and we think is shared by others. So we've put ourselves out there to launch.
And that's the best way to do it. Do something because it's fun. Do something because you see value in it. I think so many times we make these grand plans and we think way too far in advance. Like, man, one day we're gonna do it. One day we're gonna do it. And it's like let's just have fun. Let's just have fun. Let's get together and just see where it goes. And I love that. I love that approach. And I think it's super organic. And those are the things that last because they're built on nice fundamentals like that. That's really cool. What are some of the educational things? I know that you have a kind of a calendar built out. It sounds like for the rest of the year. What are some of those kinds of topics that people could look forward to taking part in?
I think one of them, Ben, is about, for example, I mean, there's a whole great list of things that are engaging us in terms of business development. But what about your CRM, your customer relationship management platform? Love, hate, do we share them? Any tips? That's certainly one huge topic about how do you keep track of all the connections that you've made so that you can shepherd them in a very useful and meaningful way. What about sponsorships? Is it worth it? How do you know if it's worth it? What's the ROI? How do you calculate? How do you evaluate? Was just being there good enough, or did you need to have your name emblazoned and on the lanyard and so forth? Was that really a great investment? And what about topic. Yeah, I mean, those are just a couple. We could, and then you mentioned earlier, and I love that. How do you deal with a lot of no? There are a lot of no's in our business. That's normal. And that intellectually, but it still kind of gets you a little bit. How do we all manage that and go on to continue to be effective in our roles?
And
it was literally, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's another thing that we bring to the table is just supporting each other, because we do hear no a lot. And it's comforting in a way, I think, to hear other people saying, yes, I keep getting no too, and so we're supporting each other and hopefully elevating each other as well at the same time.
Can we take questions from the audience?
Until Michael leaves.
I know.
I'm just pretending that y'all have a choice. Okay. So just nod your head. Okay, great. Hey, audience. Since most of y'all are probably BDs out there, I'm going to use Michael's biz dev people out there. I want to know, what questions do you have about business development in the global mobility and relocation space? What questions do you have? Right. We got people who are newer to the industry. We got some seasoned folks here. What questions do you have? I would love to know. I mean, we talked about CRMs. We talked about how do you nurture, these relationships. I didn't know that was a requirement. I thought we could just be a pain in the butt. Now that I know, I'll change my approach. This is great. Aaron saying, wow, great topic, Sara Schmidt. Can we do a marketing and shakers group next? LOL. That's funny.
Yes, Aaron, especially if it's based in France.
On-site. Well, you mentioned a UK group. So it sounds like you're not just tied to the States.
It was wild, Ben. It's a global felt need. So literally a month before US began, the UK and London launched their movers and shakers. And that was the idea that we connected with. So it was happening simultaneously in two different corners of the world. So we just piggybacked on what they were offering and launched the US chapter. So yeah, it's global in that sense. Yeah, it's the same format. The idea that it's for biz dev folks who are working in the mobility industry.
And they've gained a ton of traction. They are literally moving and shaking. And we were lucky enough to have some of them meet with us in Las Vegas at ERC last year. And they are just going like gangbusters. So we know that there's, like Sarah said, there's a global need for it. And we're just trying to bring it across the pond.
That's awesome. That's really great. I actually would look forward to going to a UK based one. I think that'd be a lot of fun. When I go to the UK, invariably somebody, like one of my friends or something, or somebody finds out like, hey, I'm going to be over there. And then this has happened twice now. They'll put together a group of people to meet up to, like, from the industry and stuff. And it's really nice, especially when you're in a new country, to like be able to kind of tap in to that. Cause I don't know that they really have regionals per se in the same way that we do. You know, I'm not sure if there's a London regional relocation council. So that could be that could really fill a need. I see that.
We'll see, Ben, if we can fit you in.
I would
I'll
love
ask
I would
the
love
London team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see here. Drew Phillips says, right back at all of you. You know, I understand. I just have FOMO. I just want to be involved, Drew says. This is great. Drew has
you're always involved. We love you.
In spirit, if nothing else. Drew, we do love you. He says, what is the hottest topic in your gatherings? I'm putting all of you on the hot seat. Michael, don't get on that plane yet. You have to answer this question, okay? Michael Hughes first. What is the hottest topic at your gathering? You all have to have an answer, and you can't have the same answer. That's the rule. Michael Hughes, you go first.
Talk about being put on the spot. Thanks, Drew. The hottest topic, I would say, has been... Let's see.
Crazy corporates. Just kidding.
Yeah. No. No, definitely not that. No, I would say the hottest topic has definitely been strategy and an approach. Everyone's asking about what works. What do people respond to? How much is too much in that regards? So, you know, is it just emailing them? Is it looking for opportunities to support? Is it, where do you build value? So I think anything that is relative to approach always kind of becomes one of the foundation conversations that we have. We had that, we met in Vegas. That was one of the things everyone was asking about as well. It's like, so what's a good way to approach so-and-so, or what are some values that we need to incorporate into our discussions that we're having? What do they care about? So for me, at least, that's the conversation I had.
Love it. There's some marketing stuff for you, Aaron. All right. Sarah, you're next. What is the hottest topic in your gatherings? You can't say approach.
No. I think what theme that keeps coming up in conversation is we go to all these gatherings and we're at conferences nonstop. You know, are we really extracting value from that? How many should we go to? When is too many too many? What are we doing to think strategically about opportunities created there? How can we be more effective when we're face-to-face in these larger regional gatherings? Just really, it's a big part of our world of work. How can we be more thoughtful and derive a bigger impact from those regional opportunities?
It sounds like we're having a meeting about having too many meetings, but I'm not opposed. As long as there's cocktails, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. No, I think it is. We always wonder, well, especially if you have P&L responsibility, if you're cutting the check, right? It's like, was that worth it? I mean, I just had a big old party and it was a big old bill. And I was like, hey, is it worth it? And I don't know. It's a tough one. You know what? People ask about ROI and it's like, well, what's the time horizon? How long do we have? Because I'll tell you what, I'm reaping the benefits from seeds that I've sown 3, 4, 5 years ago.
So true.
Sometimes longer, you know. So really great share there, Sarah. Farrell.
Well, first
what
of all,
is the hottest topic?
I was just going to say your party was absolutely worth it. It was fabulous. And Sarah kind of stole my, thanks for making me go last, by the way. Sarah kind of took it from me, but I'm just going to echo that sentiment that it's very hard to quantify what our ROI is on all of these events. It is all about relationships, and that's what we talk about. And so that's a huge one. But I would also say, just from me personally in the industry that I'm in, the vertical that I'm in, we talk a lot about cost. And it's a little bit more of a difficult sell. And I would think that Sarah might be in the same boat, where it's, yes, we're not, we're trying to sell to our potential RMCs and our corporates a service that comes with a price tag. And sometimes that's a little bit more of a difficult sell. So I've had a lot of conversations with my colleagues at our events surrounding that. And we just have to learn from each other about how we can, discuss and promote and educate on what the value is on our service, and in the long run, what the cost savings may be. So I think that that's probably that, and ROI, and, are we having too many meetings about meetings? All of those things, I guess, are wrapped into one big package. So
I like that one, Farrell. Actually, I mean, I hear that one all the time. You know what? I hear that one a lot from the buyer side about how are we differentiating ourselves as suppliers. Buyers in this space, RMCs and corporates, complain that there's just so much sameness, and they don't see the difference between moving companies. They don't see the difference between corporate housing companies. They don't see the difference, and I think that is a challenge, right? As salespeople, sometimes it feels like we're selling, and our clients' eyes kind of glaze over and they get kind of sleepy, and they're just like, what's the point? I already have one of those.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, that's what, to your point, Ben, too, it comes down to relationships. And when I get a text message at 1:30 in the morning from a corporate who's traveling across the world that has somebody that's coming in the next day, and I answer that, I feel like that validates, the service that we're going to give, and it validates the price that we charge for what we do. So
that is a great story.
It's all about relationships.
And those stories, people remember those stories. I read something, because we're in the storytelling and video business here at Glomo. And I read something that says 75% of people forget a fact, but they'll remember a story, right? So that's great. Adam Sotelo, our video production manager here, says, I already have so many ideas on fun storytelling videos I can make to promote a marketing and shakers group. Be part of that group. Very cool.
Adam, we're going to have
That would be wonderful, Adam.
But like what you just said, Ben, too, and this is like the cornerstone, and I'm going to shut up now, but the cornerstone of what it is that we do, and it's like sales training 101. It's not about what you say, it's about to somebody, it's how you make them feel. And it just goes right back to relationships. And I think that's what we're all about.
Yeah,
and with
that's
that,
awesome.
I got a play to catch.
Bon voyage, Captain Hughes.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, Ben. Thank you so much for having us. Love you all. Hope you had a good conversation about this. And
we're going to keep it going too.
Safe
We're going to keep it going. Everybody stay put there. Michael's leaving, but doesn't mean you have to. Adam, by the way, we got to do a movers and shakers video. We got to pop by over there and see the event Thursday when we're in Boston, because Adam, our video production manager, is going to be doing a lot of stuff. We're going to be doing LOVE+RELO's live from the conference. So we could probably pop over there, catch a couple of little B-roll, little establishing shots, a couple of some dialogue bits, some testimonials from people in the group, make y'all a video. So
that would be wonderful.
I just signed Adam. Adam's like, what are you doing?
That would be fabulous.
That'd be awesome. Let's see. Damian Porter saying, you're always welcome, Ben, here in the UK. Love it, Damian. Damian and I have spent a lot of time in Soho together drinking gin and tonics over there. Fabulous. Scott Williamson checking in late from Dallas. Better late than never. Never late is better. Drake. Danny Herskowitz says, what advice would you give to business development professionals that are reluctant to keep following up with a client because they don't want to come across as pushy? Do you find that a lot of business development professionals today have this reluctance? Ooh,
Sarah, you and I are going to say the same thing, but no, I was just going to say, we mentioned earlier that one of our first topics was, how do you nurture a relationship with, with a potential client or RMC or whomever without being an, what? And it's difficult, because how many touches does it really take to have somebody finally respond to you? And, this is part of our conversation about using, a CRM. I use Salesforce every day. I have an automated email that I customize every single day, and I can quantify the number of opened versus unopened emails I get, and I'll give you one guess as to where the ratio is higher. So it's difficult, and I don't want to be a pain in the butt. I don't, but I do know that what I sell has value. Just either tell me to pound sand, or, respond to me with, hey, let's talk next week, or, whatever it is. So it's frustrating. It is frustrating. I don't have a solution.
I found that persistence pays off, but persistence doesn't have to mean every 30 seconds you're hearing from me.
No.
The time can go by, and then I find like there's been radio silence. I reach out again, and suddenly it's like, oh yeah, hey, let's book a meeting. I'm like, wow, I don't know. It was a wild gap, but it was 100% worth it to continue wise follow up, because every once in a while there's yeah, sure, let's make this happen.
Don't you think that timing is just everything?
Timing's everything. Yeah.
I would agree. As a person who gets a lot of sales emails and as a person who sends a lot of sales emails, I agree with that. Timing is everything. And sometimes we just don't have time or mental bandwidth to respond to a message, but we look at it, we kind of raise an eyebrow, and we're like, interesting. And then we just keep going about our day. And then we get the fourth email from that person 6 months later, and we're like, you know what? I have been struggling with this, and it's enough of a pain point now.
100%.
It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? That, you know what? Let me clear some time. Book that meeting with Sarah, and let's address this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timing is everything.
I think too, it's our role is part art and part science, and having that intuition. Every individual is an individual. How often, how forceful. We have to always be very thoughtful about the person that we're engaging with, that relationship that we're building. So
it's a multi-layered industry for sure. We just have to peel back the onion, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think timing is everything. And I'm speaking in cliches, but it's so true.
Well, don't stop now. If you got more cliches, let's just tackle one. No. Okay. Let me ask you a question here. As the BD group, if you will, BD folks, would you say that RMCs are becoming more or less important in the buying and purchasing decisions for global mobility?
Ooh.
Don't all talk at once.
Well, when you say buying and purchasing, are you talking about making decisions with regards to what suppliers to use for their clients? Yes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Well, I will say this. In the last 6 months, I've had 2 corporate directed accounts, which in the last 5 years, I have had 0. So
what do you think that's attributable to? Is that a macroeconomic thing, or is that a personal decision?
I think it's a lack of delivery in a certain vertical that led them to seek other suppliers.
Interesting.
That's
Sarah, what do you think?
I be that as it may, still the RMCs are a big part of the business development world when it comes to mobility. So having them on our radar, understanding what their needs are, who are their new clients they want to bring in, who are existing clients where policy is shifting, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to continue to be present in the RMC ecosystem.
Well, I agree with Sarah 100%. RMCs are absolutely, we can't live without them, right? And I think about them kind of like as a funnel, and all of the corporations go into the big part of the funnel, and then the RMCs kind of figure out where to trickle their business out. And we can't live without them. And it is tough to navigate sometimes. It's frustrating, not going to lie. But they are very important in what we do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. We've got questions here. Druber, is follow up just follow up, or do you coordinate with a value add?
100% value add. Every time you follow up, you want to add something that helps them, that educates, or that provides some kind of value add, as Drew said. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, the whole idea is that we're just being generous, sharing what we know within our vertical, and helping that potential business partner be informed and knowledgeable about what she's doing.
And I think to piggyback on that too, if we can provide a solution, if we're educated enough in our industry to understand what the problems are out in the market, if we can deliver a solution to what those problems are, we know what the pain points are. We know what these are, what their clients are experiencing. And if we can solve that problem, there's the value add.
Awesome. Let's see here. Scott Williamson, the key to earning an eventual meeting, we must first be known as a trusted advisor and educator in your area of expertise. Global mobility corporate professionals must first respect your value before they feel the need to meet. Ooh, what do you think about that statement?
It's kind of what we said in reverse.
You know, I think this is interesting. I've been, so we do recruitment in the space, right? So that's one of the big areas that we do at Glomo. And sales talent is the number one requisition we get this year. Last year was relocation consultants because everybody was trying to deal with all these files that they were getting thrown at them. And this year, nobody has any files. They're like, hey, we need more salespeople. Okay, cool. So they call us and we start looking for salespeople. And you know what they all want? The number one word they use? Hunter. I want a hunter. And I'm like, if I hear the word hunter one more time, I'm gonna get a gun. Okay, because everybody wants a hunter. I'm like, what do you think we're doing out here? Like hunter, like they all, you know what they all want? They all want to make a lot of money. They all want a chest freezer in the garage full of meat. But there's a lot of ways to get a chest freezer in the garage full of meat. You could trap it, you can hunt it, you can farm it, you can eat eggs instead of killing the chicken. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. And I think that we get so wrapped up on this hunter, hunter type. Do you think that hunter type is for real? Do you consider yourselves hunters or do you consider yourself something else? What are your thoughts on that?
I am a gatherer. I'm a nurturer, Ben. I would say to Scott's point, though, that I totally agree 100%. But unless we are in front of the client, how can we show them that they can trust us and that they can respect our value? We need to get that meeting so that we can get to that point. But I don't know about Sarah, but for me, I'm not a hunter. I'm definitely more on the nurturing end. But you have to be a hunter, like what Annie is saying here, is you have to be a hunter and seek out the opportunity. But then it's about nurturing it.
I think Annie's a recruiter on the Glomo team. And I think what she's saying here is this is a direct quote from a job description she's probably working on right now. Must have a hunter's mentality. Sarah, do you self-identify as a hunter?
But Ben, I've got another. But I think your observation is very interesting. And if you were to counsel people looking for sales team members instead of hunter, what would you tell them that they should be looking for?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for turning that around on me. I would say,
but obviously you're thinking that this isn't the most.
No, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's absurd.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, if we're out in a field and we're starving, I want a hunter because it's transactional. A hunter's transactional. Mm-hmm. I'm going to follow this prey until one of us dies. That's basically what a hunting is about. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I'm looking for something more sustainable. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to create a factory, situation, right? And so I've done that with LOVE+RELO, for instance, right? So I'm about becoming influential and attracting people to me for, and saying, when I think of who's the smartest person about X, I want to be the number one name on their mind so that people find me when they have a problem with X. Because I can't be relied upon to always be calling them constantly until the timing is right. There's so many people out there automating sales who are using, offshoring, or they're using sales automation, CRMs, or they're using whatever. So I can't out email you. I can't out email Salesforce or HubSpot or someone offshore. So I'm really looking to present myself as an expert and attract people to me. That's kind of what I'm.
You basically said that the CRM approach it just doesn't work. And that's kind of how I feel too. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm inundated every day with automated emails and I ignore them, and so how can I blame others for ignoring mine? And I do feel like at least in this industry, we really do need to build a relationship. And so me just sending a blind email out, you know, if I get 1 out of 100 to respond to me, that's great. But it is about relationships. That's my 2 cents, which is worth 1. So there you go.
To me, it's about being a problem solver. And I think that's what's the most attractive thing for me in a biz dev role. When you see what you're offering, fix things. And in my company, it's beautiful because we're fixing what the corporate client needs, and we're fixing what the family needs with one stroke. And that is a thrill. I don't know. So that's what, that's what gets me out of bed and eager every morning.
Yeah, the success stories feel really good. And we're the same way. I mean, I'm in the rental space, and as we all know, that is not easy right now. It's very challenging. People think they can do it on their own. And when we get people coming back to us saying, I thought I could do it on my own, but I quickly realized I can't, and we solve that problem, to Sarah's point, it does feel very, very good. It really does.
Yeah, that's excellent. Scott's weighs in here. It says, for me, a hunter is a salesperson who can make 100 to 200 phone calls a day. My greatest successes have come from utilizing my relationships, knowledge, skills over many years to help create strategic solutions as differentiators. And I think also oftentimes the people who want hunters, quote unquote, are people that don't understand the business and how nuanced it is, and how relationship driven it is, and how high touch it is. They want to say, okay, if I call 100 people, I get 10 people on the phone, I get 5 presentations, I'll make 1 sale, right? And they look at it that way, very linear. And now there's people out there that say they're relationship people that can't close the door, right? And
that feels very telemarketery to me. 100 to 200 calls a day feels telemarketing.
100%. And who wants to be on the other end of that? Because here's the other thing you have to understand. I think when people ask for a hunter, who out there wants to be hunted?
Good point.
So how successful is that hunter going to be? I mean, basically, if I'm a hunter, that means whoever I'm pursuing is running from me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a. And then if I catch them, I'm like, I got lucky. You know, and
then they're dead. Then they're dead. They die.
And then they're dead. They'd rather be dead. Exactly. So this analogy does not play out very well. And I would encourage people to reevaluate when they say they want a hunter's mentality, you know.
But playing devil's advocate, if they're saying they want a hunter, maybe they're looking for somebody who's really seeking out opportunity, which not everybody does. I mean, we all have, these lead feeds that we get. We can pay money to have 1,000 companies dropped into our inbox that we can call. So maybe by saying they want a hunter, they're looking for somebody who is seeking out those opportunities, and not sitting at an airport. I've had some of the greatest conversations I've ever had with the person sitting next to me at breakfast. So maybe, like I said, devil's advocate, maybe they're thinking of that as that hunting mentality, just always looking for new chances and new opportunities.
I mean, yeah, I think so. And I think there's better words that we can use, like high energy or open connector, or someone who will sit down next to someone at an airport and start a conversation and connects the dots. I mean, I'm a big dot connector person. Let's see here. Andrew Cox says, if your potential customers are treated as prey, they would be entitled to be scared of you, right? Yeah. I think that describes the relationship quite well, and why salespeople have a bad rap. You know what? Let's do this. I want to this has been a lot of fun. And as a salesperson myself, I could have these conversations all day long. And I can't wait till the next Movers and Shakers event Thursday in Boston at ERC at the Marriott, I'm told. But would you like to leave us maybe with just a final thought here as we kind of close, Sarah and then Farrell?
Oh, Ben, final thought. I would say what impresses me most about Movers and Shakers is maybe the 3 pillars of what our organization, loosely held, is standing for. And the first is courtesy, so that we have a space where individual opinions are respected, where different ages and stages in our professional journey are respected, and that creates that space where people can be genuine and feel heard. And I think secondly, pillar is generosity, that we come to the Movers and Shakers group with the plan to share liberally from our experience and professional advice. And thirdly, I would say it's curiosity, that each member comes really interested in leveling up her game professionally as a biz dev in her biz dev role in the mobility space.
Well said. Thank you, Sarah. Farrell, would you like to leave us with a closing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cannot follow up with on that one. Thank you, Sarah, for being so eloquent and succinct. I would absolutely say that there was a need for what we have started here. And it started at BAM. I'm telling you, back in 2021, I want to say it was, in the Hyatt Hotel, in the bar at the end of the night, where Michael and Sarah and I had a collaborative conversation where we all agreed that we just didn't feel heard. And we didn't feel like there was a space for us to learn from each other, to exchange ideas, to be collaborative. And this just sort of matriculated from that conversation. And I'm very proud to be a part of it. And I can't wait to see where it goes. But all of those 3 points that Sarah just raised are exactly, they're echoed in my mind as well. And I just hope that we get the message out and that we see just a ton of people in Boston at our event. And we just continue to grow and grow and grow and share.
Well, I have a feeling you will see a ton of people at your event in Boston. I will be one of them. I can't wait to join you and the Movers and Shakers on Thursday at the Marriott in Boston at Worldwide ERC. Can't wait to see all of you there as well. Sara Schmidt and Farrell Elliot, thank you so much. And Michael Hughes, wherever you are up there in the sky, looking down on us, Michael, thank you so much for being a part of us and creating this great group.
And join our group on LinkedIn, and you'll get all of the information sent to you directly that way.
Love it. I'm doing it right now.
Thanks,
everybody. We will see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.